because it is the season to be scared and stuffs. We're going to do a something we've never done before. Something we've never done before. So hold on to your butts.
Holding on to my butt.
We're going to do a horror movie top 10. Let me do that. One more time. The horror movie top 10. So it's worth doing those alerts. Yeah. These are a mixture of Cog and myself's top 10. So you probably work out which is mine, which is Cog's.
If you do, you've got to mention it somewhere, because I'd be curious to see if they actually get them all right.
If you don't agree with us, remember, comment down below. At number 10... Hold on, should we just like scream every time we do it?
Number 10.
Our number 10 is Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
So this come out in 1999. I can't believe this is over 20 years old.
Already?
Over 20, so it'll be 25 years old next year. It's 24 at the moment. That's since, well, actually, no, it is 25 years old. It came out in 1999. 25 years old.
That is
That is crazy. Sleepy Hollow was one of the very first movies I got on DVD.
I think for a lot of people, when you watch Sleepy Hollow for the first time, it does make an impact. I always got impacted by the bleeding tree. That was probably the imagery that I will always put together with Sleepy Hollow, and just the overall aesthetic of a Tim Burton movie. I think that's one of Tim Burton's finest.
For me, personally, I think it's his best movie after Batman Returns.
Claim. That's a claim.
It is, but I honestly believe that is the one. That is the one. Obviously starring Johnny Depp, because he's in everything that Tim Burton does. Christina Ricci, because she's also in everything that Tim Burton does. And Miranda Richardson, who plays the villain.
The villain. Like we've said before many a times, would you want to play a villain in a movie? I think they have the best of everything.
Yeah,
the outfits.
Exactly. Best outfits, best lines. You can be overly camp, especially in a horror film. I think it'd be great fun to play the Headless Horseman. Sleepy Hollow, if you don't know already and you've never watched it, it is a story about the Headless Horseman. So if you like fairy tales, etc., this is very violent as well. So it's very gory. It's got some really funny bits in it. Johnny Depp's very good as the detective that goes to the small town.
Yeah.
So if you're into that kind of thing, we highly recommend you watch Sleepy Hollow.
That's our top 10 choice.
And then at 9 we have Scream. But the original, the very first one, not the upteen million of other not remakes,
the one
but
from
sequels.
1996.
1996, starring Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox.
I forgot it was Courtney Cox.
Yeah, this is back when she was still in Friends, guys.
Wow.
Back when she was still in Friends. This is crazy. So 1996.
I do think
again over 20 years old.
I think out of all of the Scream movies, because there's many now, I do think that is the strongest one. I think.
And at number 8, a bit left field, but one of my all-time favorites, Edward Woodward, which he's fantastic in everything, and obviously Christopher Lee.
I will always love Christopher Lee. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times, and he was always such a gentleman and just one of the coolest human beings. I think most people would say the same thing. I miss Christopher Lee. He was such a presence, but one of his best and one of his finest is The Wicker Man, for sure.
One of the greats. Also, not to be fuddled or mixed up with the greatest comedy of 2006, starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was in the remake of The Wicker Man, which was so bad.
But good.
No, just so bad. I don't think anybody could watch it with a straight face. There's a scene where he runs around in bear slippers and punches women for 26 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's definitely a Nicolas Cage
And that's
moment.
actually where the bees, not the bees. That's where that comes from.
And if you didn't know, now you do.
But number 8, you have Your Appointment with the Wicker Man.
So that's the 1973 version, if any of you guys want to Google that and have a little look for yourself. Because if you haven't watched it...
Yeah, it's a classic. It's definitely a classic.
Recommend.
Definitely a classic. Ah.
Number 7.
Yeah, go on, you do this one.
is It Part 1 from 2017. I love the It franchise. I understand not a lot of people are a fan of clowns. Pennywise particularly has never been particularly scary to me. He is scary, but he's not. He's more of an art piece. I feel like he looks so aesthetically just grotesque and just this imagination from Stephen King. I love Stephen King books. Of course, I grew up with, it's got to be the Tim Curry version. Well, it was this 2-part series. It was 2 episodes. It wasn't a movie.
Yeah, the Tim Curry version scared the life. As a kid, it was
terrifying. And still is terrifying.
I don't know. You watch it now, it's not as bad. But as a kid, you know, watching an entity drag somebody into a drain
is
horrific.
It
was definitely frightening.
But I feel like the story is great. I feel like the ending, if anybody knows the ending, was always just bizarre and wacky and did not make any sense. You're drawn out this entire time to just have that ultimate ending. I won't spoil it in case you want to go and watch it for yourself. But the remake that came out not too many years ago now, Bill Skarsgård, I think, done a wonderful interpretation of his version of Pennywise. You can never compare to Tim Curry, but he did definitely a good job with that. And then obviously you've got Part 1 and Part 2 in homage to the Part 1 and Part 2 episodes that came out with Tim Curry.
Number 6, one of my all-time favorites, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the greatest comedy horrors out there. Even to this day, it's still
untouchable.
It's still, just even now, watching it as an adult, I watched it many times as a kid, scaring the life out of myself. But even watching it now as an adult, it still makes me laugh. And I know the jokes are coming. I know the one-liners are coming. And I'm mouthing the lines, but they still make me laugh.
Definitely.
It's a film you can watch over and over again. It's a timeless classic.
But we're going for the 1984 version. Of course, not the remake. This is the OG Ultimate Ghostbusters movie.
Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, and Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. We love Rick Moranis.
We love Rick Moranis. Also, the rumours going around that he's coming back for Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
If he does, that's going to break the internet, I think.
He said if he was going to come back to acting, he'd do it for Mel Brooks. So
Mel Brooks... Please entice him.
Mel Brooks has got a lot of pull, and he's getting old now, so he's in his 90s. So if they can get it done, I still don't know about Josh Gad writing it, but if they can get it done, Spaceballs 2, let's go. But yeah, I don't know how you've never seen Ghostbusters. If you haven't seen, you just go watch Ghostbusters. What you're doing with your life. Number 5, we have Saw.
But the 2004, so the first
Saw
of the entire franchise.
Yeah, the rest is shit. You only need to watch Saw. Arguably the greatest twist in horror history.
The story is what keeps that from budging from our 5th spot in this list, because you watch it and you have no idea, I didn't anyway, of what happens by the end of the movie.
No.
So
And bearing in mind that nearly the entire movie is in one room.
Yes.
And then which makes I'm not going to spoil it. Should I spoil it? People have seen it, must have watched it already.
It came out in 2004. I think a lot of people may have seen Saw.
Yeah. But it's the reveal at the end when they could have just stuck their hand in the bathtub to get the key. My God.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a thing.
Jaw dropped.
It was a thing.
My jaw was on the floor.
And it's what started it all, and because of the success of that film, they've then been able to make 20 sequels, which I feel after 3 have got gradually a lot worse. Like the Jigsaw movie was trash, and I feel like they've just gone down the very gory route instead of story, which is a shame, because if they kept to the sort of like twists and turns that 1, 2, and 3 give you, I think it would have probably been a very, very strong franchise. I know it still sells tickets, but I don't think it will capture the trilogy again, unless they either reboot it, which Hollywood seems to love doing anyway, but we'll see.
The one thing I've got to mention, I always butcher his name, but if you know Cary Elwes, I don't know how to say his last name, but he's been in many other movies. I forgot he was in Saw. He's been in things like Robin Hood Men in Tights. Yep. He's been in so many movies.
Yeah, he's a great comedy actor. Yeah, great comedy actor. Princess Bride.
I never would have placed him in this type of horror movie until that point. And it's just, if you want to see him in just a different variation of the roles that he can do, Saw is definitely one of them, because I forgot he was in that, and he is one of the main characters. So if that entices you to check out Saw, definitely do it. I always found throughout the years they've always done, I believe in the States, they've done a blood drive with every movie release. So there's always something going towards, they've always just done something for charity and made it a really positive experience. And I think the fandom are so welcoming and positive. I really do love a bit of the Saw franchise.
At number 4, we have one of my greatest loves in the sci-fi horror genre.
Likewise.
Alien. The first one. Not Aliens, or Alien 3, or the rest of the Aliens. But this is the original. This is the great.
This is the 1979 version.
Arguably some of the best jump scares in sci-fi horror as well, because if you've never seen it before and you don't know what's coming, my God, you crap your pants. You just crap your pants. It's a different feel to the second movie because it is more of an isolation horror, so running around in vents, etc. You don't know what's coming. Aliens being more of a action horror because everybody had guns and could fight, etc. Where they're running around with the tiny flamethrower that had no effect on the alien whatsoever. So you had that mortality thing going as well, and the fact that everybody dies, obviously except for Sigourney Weaver. But yeah,
don't touch Sigourney Weaver. I don't think they could. She's too damn powerful. Nothing can ever cross Sigourney Weaver's path.
I think it was a hairy minge. I think it was a hairy minge that saved her against the alien. I think that's it was a minge powers.
Oh my God!
Because hot topic or fun fact, they had to airbrush her minge out of the because she was wearing very low cut panties through most of the movie. They had to airbrush her minge out because they didn't think it would work well on screen. And then in the special edition, they ended up airbrushing it back in. So if you watch the special edition Alien, you can actually see Sigourney Weaver's minge hair coming out the top of the panties. Yeah,
Hollywood budget.
It
still doesn't detract though from how great Alien is. I mean, controversially, some people in the chat might say the second one is better than the first one, but we personally like the first one.
I love both, but just as like a sake of a horror sci-fi movie, I feel that Alien is a better description, where Alien 2 is more of an action horror.
And a shout out to Ripley being one of the strongest and most
badass women,
leading females in
exactly.
A movie. I love
See,
that.
this again, Hollywood. This is how you write women. This is how you have a strong female character that's not a girl boss and awful like they are in all modern films at the moment. And then at number 3, we have American Psycho. Christian Bale's greatest role, because he is terrifying.
He gives me chills with this one.
He is so unhinged in this. I've never, there's unhinged characters in horror, obviously, but he's up there.
He's a top 5 for us unhinged characters, for sure.
Yeah, it's a serial killer that lives in his own head.
There you go. So Psycho.
So you're not actually sure what's real, what's not real. It's a bit of a mind fuck, which is great because you don't really know where the film's going to go. Even near the end, you're like, is this going to go where I think it's going to go? And then, yeah, it just turns it all on its head. If you've not seen it, go watch it. It's got a fantastic soundtrack as well.
Yes.
And seeing Christian Bale grind in front of a mirror is very funny. Like all the sex scenes are hilarious, and he made it. I believe he did that on purpose to make them hilarious. So, yeah, but again, a very good movie.
Our second choice. Now this has got no. This doesn't compare to anything else.
Yeah.
I take back my words. This is
1993's Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus is a masterpiece.
Cinematic greatness. Beats everything on this list.
Hands down.
100%.
No question.
That is where a lot of people had a sexual awakening thanks to Sarah Jessica Parker's very pushed up boobs and the fact you like black cats. Hocus Pocus, great family movie. In all seriousness, it's still a great family movie. One you can watch with the kids. I'm guessing everybody's seen Hocus Pocus because you would have seen it growing up because it was the staple in every household around Halloween. You'd always sit and watch Hocus Pocus. So, but it's on the list.
I will have to just say
and if you don't agree with us, comment below. And number 1 on the list, The Thing. The 1982 iteration of it, the original, starring Kurt Russell and Wilford Brimley, my all-time favourite horror film. Being the fact it is a sci-fi genre, it's one of the very first horror films I watched as a kid as well, and it's always had a fondness because of how it completely revolutionised special effects, and the fact that everything in the movie is practical. Obviously, back in the day, there wasn't anything such as CGI.
I believe the special effects makeup was definitely a standalone thing in this. A standalone thing in this. It's still a great movie. Might be a little bit dated, but I feel like it stood the test of time. 10 out of 10. I definitely agree with you that this needs to be the top spot for best horror movies.
Somebody's actually just said that Saw 3 is their favourite over Saw. So, again, yeah. If you don't agree with us, comment below.